Jerry Hershey. Years ago when I met him and saw his work, I knew he was a master of color interaction. And since that time, he has only become more masterful. So I hope you will, I don't know what he's going to say in his talk, but I hope you will ask him about that. Jerry has a studio in Lancaster, and as far as I can tell, he works every day, all day. He is extremely prolific and successful as an artist. He has a BFA from Tyler School of Art, and he's exhibited his paintings throughout the United States. Take it away.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you all for being here. Some of you, probably all of you, realize that all the little lines in these paintings are words. They're the words that are in the title. In this painting, this is the word perseverance, and the title of the painting is perseverance. It's one of my favorite words. It's a word that I think is a word that I try to live by. And in terms of my work, it has a wonderful flow. So what I'm trying to do with these paintings is create a certain kind of flow that is beautiful and also relates to the word itself. So what is perseverance? Perseverance is going through situations that are difficult and continuing to go. So you'll see there's a graduation of color and there's lines and lines of strokes that are built up. These two paintings, the oldest things I have here, have a kind of a mandala-like quality, and there's a reason for that. And a lot of these paintings have a mandala-like quality, because I think that the best kind of a work process has to do with creating a personal meditation. And I try to create in my everyday work and in our life a positive meditation. So I typically use words that are positive. I use phrases and quotes that are positive. And because of the process that I'm utilizing, I'm repeating that word or phrase over and over and over. And this is a 6-line Gandhi quote. It starts, your beliefs become your thoughts, and it ends up, your values become your destiny. So a lot of the work in this show has to do with destiny. That one over there is the word kismet, also another word for destiny. These grid paintings, that painting, this one, and the blue one, are Eleanor Roosevelt, what could we accomplish if we knew we could not fail? What could we accomplish? Problem solving. Every time we try to do a problem, we break it into solvable units. So in this group, which I did 7 paintings, and that's the 7th one, everyone utilized a grid of some kind, different kinds in each one. If we could not fail, so there's a sense of positive accomplishment. So there's bright colors, happiness, again, the graduation, but still, you see all the little lines are that quote. What could we accomplish if we knew we could not fail? These circular paintings that have the brushwork in them, towards the end of 2014, it occurred to, I listened to my wife, like a lot of us should or do, and we decided that the work needed to have more hand. Now I like to create a certain amount of hand in the ground with brushwork or other kinds of use of materials. But it occurred to me that I wanted to come up with a certain kind of brush stroke that was compelling and felt like it was original, or at least individual. And so I set about doing a large group of very small studies, and I included 5 of them over here. And eventually the studies became more and more involved, larger, more interesting, at least to me. And I felt like it was time to include a word of some kind. And I was just having a good time doing it. I didn't really, it wasn't like I was doing them necessarily to include a word or not. It just seemed like there was a point where they needed to have something else to make them go to the next step. And I thought of a lot of words that I might use, and none of them seemed to work. And I just felt like I was having a good time when I was playing. And I take so much of this so seriously. I tend to, it seemed like a good time to introduce something that wasn't a word or a phrase or something that was a little bit more playful. So I used the word playing without a question mark and put it around the border of the first 2. And I called them playing around because the word was going around. And that's what all these are. These are all, this one is the most difficult to see, but they're all layers and layers of brush strokes. And then the crisp lines are the word playing with a question mark going around a geometric shape. As far as color is concerned, I come out of a geometric color tradition. When I got out of school in 1972, I had studied color interaction with Richard Kramer at Tyler in Philadelphia, and I spent several years independently studying Albers color problems. And then I spent summer at Lake Placid Workshop in '75, which the thing that was really pivotal about that summer was we would work, it was 24 hours, 7 days a week studios, we would work all night and then watch the sun rise over the lake. And it was kids that were all like, they were all killer kids from all over the country. And the energy there was just tremendous. And that's the kind of energy that I try to maintain in my work and in my daily practice. Destiny, destiny, no escaping destiny. That's from Young Frankenstein. Thank you.
Do you have anything, can you say anything about the colors, like when you're choosing colors and when you're...
Color is very subjective. I'll do a blue painting or a painting that I feel like I'm in a certain, something's going on, I'll do that, and then I'll do something in reaction to that. Or I'll try to pick the best of what it is and do that. The color that's the most immediate is in the little studies because I'm working on a bunch of those at one time, and I can finish a couple in one day sometimes. These are a little different because I do plan them out. But I'm not thinking about color interaction as much as I'm just thinking about what kind of situation would be best to solve the problem. So I did a painting called I'm Getting Bugged Driving Up and Down the Same Old Strip. I got to find a new place where the kids are hip, and around painting. So I wanted it to have sun, sand, surf, and asphalt. So I used some sand in the paint to create a pretty surface. And the painting, the underpainting was sprayed with blues and yellows and grays. And then the words picked up all those colors and went up and down because it was going up and down the same old strip. So that's the way I work. It's starting with an idea of a word or a quote that's compelling and makes sense with what I'm trying to get across, and then trying to solve the problem. What is the best way to work with that? And the color that I'm using I'm just trying to solve the problem. There's great, one of my favorite movies. Well, I listen to movies a lot. I listen to music a lot when I work, but I listen to movies a lot. I don't watch movies when I work, I just listen to movies. And early on when I was doing the tandas, the circular paintings, I was listening to Brother Art Thou, the Coen Brothers movie, a lot. And so I did 7 or 8 paintings that are damn, we're in a tight spot. And then I did a large painting that has very kind of organic, I guess you'd say, shapes like organic organ type shapes. And it's a fool that looks for logic in the chambers of the human heart. And I did some metallic ones, some metallic circles that are, do not seek the treasure from the movie theater when he whispers, do not seek the treasure. You saw the movie, you're only one of the few ones. Kids, it's a great movie, you love it. Then, it's supposed to be based on the Odyssey, but I don't know how much that's true. And the other side of it is, like the Clint Eastwood movie, Unforgiven is one of my favorite cowboy movies, partially because there's a sense of realism and a sense of the realization of the acts that are committed. And so when I'm not feeling real optimistic and I'm not feeling real happy, I have a whole list of other paintings that I think I might do. And at the end of that movie, when Clint Eastwood walks into Morgan Freeman has been killed and he's going to avenge his murder, and he walks into the bar and there's thunder and lightning, the first thing he says is, anybody know? This could be a great brown painting. Who's the fellow owns this shithole? My wife says, oh, do Maya Angelou.
question about this pair. Just because your grid is different on this one, or at least the background shape. You're changing around the sizes of your. So what inspired that compared to?
Yeah, it's just going from one to the next. And the early ones were just blocks. And then I did a smaller version that was similar to this. Then I did this one. Then I did this one. And then I did this one. And this just becomes a problem of, and these are identical, they're just different colors. You got that, I mean, it's exactly the same, the space and the placement of the words exactly the same. But I've never done a grid like this. I just wanted to see how it would operate and what kind of a spatial situation it would create. And you know, as far as spatial situations, this is one of the best ones I've ever tried to do. So I'm happy with the way it worked out. But the idea was to create a kind of implied narrative with the same exact visual vocabulary, but change the colors. So this, you know, I could do 10 of them, they'd all be the same, but with different colors.
Do you rely on the airbrush?
Well, I use a spray gun when I need to get certain things, like a ground that's graduated like that would be sprayed, and those are obviously sprayed. But I don't use it, I varnish with an air gun too, with a spray gun too. But yeah, because there's a couple of these grid paintings here, there's a couple of spray paintings, but I don't do that much spraying.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.